I have a question. Have you ever had to fight for something so fiercely, so desperately, as if your very life hung in the balance? That is the story of my father. In the last 1 month, my dad has been in an ICU, intensive care unit at a hospital back in Kenya. He's fighting for his life. He's fighting to breathe, fighting to live, fighting to live his dreams. And when the time came for me to come here, I was a bit conflicted. How can I live and Dad is in that condition, critically ill? And I decided to travel back home and spend some time with him. I got to stand next to his bed and I held his forehead with my left hand and his right hand in mine. And I looked at him and I said, "Dad, you're a fighter. Dad, fight on. Fight on, Dad. I am traveling to the US for this fellowship. I'll come back and tell you stories about the people I meet and what I learn. But Dad, promise me that you will fight on. Fight on, Dad." He cannot speak. He looked at me, smiled, and I saw a tear go down. And that was peaceful for me. I saw that as acceptance for me to travel. I've taken time to reflect about those last words to my father. Fight on, Dad, fight on. And it has occurred to me that that is actually the story of my life. I was born fighting, fighting to breathe, fighting to live, fighting to be seen, fighting to be heard, fighting for dignity. That 7-letter word, dignity, means so much to me. It means life to me. This week we had sessions on poverty and development, and that topic was so personal to me. You may not believe this, but guess what? About 40% of Kenyans today live in poverty. I know firsthand the sting of poverty. I have lived through it. I grew up in a family of 10, the eldest amongst my siblings. And I remember many times when basic needs, basic human needs like food, shelter, clean water for drinking, and even education was not accessible. Those things were not accessible to us. And I remember many times when my family and I went to bed on an empty stomach because there was no food. But one other beautiful memory I have about those days growing up in poverty was this. There was so much love and affirmation in my family. I fondly remember my dad telling me many times, "Caren, if you ever get a chance to go to school, I know you will go to school. If that opportunity comes, give it your all, because education is the key out of poverty, not just for you, but for the rest of us, your family." And time came when I stayed home for so long because there was no money for me to go to school. Then one day, miraculously, one of my teachers, Mrs. Kui, and her husband came home and told my parents that they had decided to take me in as one of their own, and they would pay my school fees and provide everything I needed till completing high school. That was the only reason I was able to complete my high school education, pass my exams to go to the university. Education for me was the key out of poverty. Education lifted me out of poverty. Education lifted my whole family out of poverty. And for Mrs. Kui and her family, it's not that they had too much, no. It was just out of the abundance of the heart. And away from my family where love was shared, Mrs. Kui and her family, their love gave me so much hope about love, and now I'm so in love with love. I love people, I love humanity. And part of the work I do is to spread love, to touch the lives of young people, to nurture ethically driven leaders, to spread love in the world. And like Nelson Mandela says, the greatest force for change in the world is love. Mahatma Gandhi once said that we find ourselves when we lose ourselves in the service of others. Having been lifted out of poverty and having worked hard, and of course by the grace of God, I realized that this wasn't just for me or my family only. No, I needed to do something for other people, other young people, other families to be lifted out of poverty. And 13 years ago, I decided to quit my job in the media, to set up Emerging Leaders Foundation, to nurture values-driven leaders, to just go and lead change in their political parties, in the private sector, in government, in schools, everywhere in society, so that every person can have a stab at life. Because it is possible to have every family, every human being just live, even if it's in the most basic level of human dignity. That is possible. And I've interacted with many of us here, fearless leaders, courageous human beings doing amazing work in your communities, in your countries. And I'm just in awe of you. I celebrate you. Thank you so much for who you are. Thank you for what you do. I look around the room and I see people like Bright. You shared your story with me, how you have so far sustained 3 bullets in your body, just in the quest for better governance in your country, to fight corruption in your country. And you didn't stop. You're still going on. You're fighting on. Fight on, brother. It's worth it. I look at people like Gregory. You're living outside your country, but you're doing so much more for your people and your community. You have not lost hope. Keep the fight. Keep the fight. And I realize that fighting is a never-ending battle, because we're fighting for better life. We're fighting to be seen. We're fighting to be heard. We're fighting for so many. We're fighting for dignity, not just for us or our families, but our communities at large. I see Paloma and how you are running to become the first female president in your country. And we're hoping that your lovely daughter also follows in your footsteps. I encourage you, sister, fight on. Fight on, sister. And Tenzin and your daughter Pekka, you speak so fondly of her, and unfortunately you're also living in exile. Please don't give up. I sat across the table from you and listened to you speak about your country and share the heartfelt desire to be back home in Tibet and to have a free country, a free democratic country. I feel you. And I wish you the best, and I know it will come to pass sometime. Lillian, and many other people, Isa, and every other person who's living in exile. I'd just like to encourage you. Please fight on. Fight on, fight on. And I'd just like to paraphrase the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and talk about the fight. That whether you're born fighting, whether you picked up the fight along the way, it's worth it. Fight on, sister. Fight on, brother. Fight on. Fight on. And when those moments, dark moments come, when you're tempted to quit, when you're weak, when your back is against the wall and you don't know what to do, I encourage you. Just like Paulina said, hold on. Hold on. If you can fly while fighting, fly. If you can run, run. If you can walk, walk. But if you can't walk and all you can do is crawl, please, by all means, keep crawling, but keep moving forward and keep fighting. And I leave you with the words that I told my father. Friends, fight on, fight on, fight on. Thank you.